Yo, what's poppin'? All of my peeps, it is I, your host with the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can. The champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, joined alongside, as always, the best of the West you cannot forget about. Sarah Marshall back for another Raw Rewind. Sarah, what's poppin', girl? How we doing?
I am doing okay at the
So
moment.
there we go. We're
Yes.
doing good, and welcome back. Thank you, David, and to everyone else who is tuning in to this stream. We are going to be talking about the Raw Rewind, or what happened on Raw. And we
Mm.
were away for a little bit. We are back. Shit comes up in both of our lives, and it's a lot when this is just we're doing this out of the kindness of our hearts, Sarah. So,
Yes.
and time is going to change in a few weeks with us springing forward. At least you guys don't do that.
Yeah,
Which
we don't.
no,
we
but
don't need we don't need more sunshine.
no, you do. And a lot of people be like, oh, of course they don't. Whatever. No, I am on your side. I am so anti this nonsense.
No, but you know that they proposed a bill already. I believe it passed the Senate. Like the Senate did it. I think it hasn't passed the House yet. Like they haven't presented it that they would stop daylight savings. And it would be like after you guys spring forward that it would never like we wouldn't no one would change the clocks again. But they have to vote on it and like make it a law and they haven't done that yet. So that would mean like you guys would always be 3 hours ahead of us and then you would never gain an hour or lose an hour because I think the original reason they did it was like for farmers or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
what I
that.
was
So
saying.
it's
It's
like
for farmers. It was a
we
farmer
don't
schedule
need
for the
that.
sun.
Yeah,
No,
so it's
and that's the
possible in
thing.
the future we won't be doing it anymore.
No, and yeah, there's no reason for it at all at this point. We're in a new era, a new age. It's just shit's different. It's a new world. And not only is it a new world in reality,
A
Sarah,
whole new
it's
world.
a whole new world in professional wrestling. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
and honestly, the fact that this Raw, again, I know we're still on the road to WrestleMania, which so every show should have a little bit of oomph to it. But like we've mentioned before, you go in and your expectations are here, and then they're already above the ceiling once the first hour is already concluded. It's
Mhm.
incredible.
Get out of here. Sorry, my cat is trying to
Oh,
interfere.
she wants to interfere.
Yeah. It's just driving me crazy.
Keep her in gorilla.
Yeah, I'm trying. I try. But she's already trying to make an escape,
Oh,
so
she's
we'll
good. She's
see.
gonna make her
We'll see
way
if
to
she
the
behaves. I don't know.
make her
She
way out to the
might
entrance ramp.
pull a Dexter Loomis or something and just show up behind me. I
Ooh, a
don't know.
little tease, a little bit. There we go. So yeah, Sarah, what's our first topic from Raw? Ooh,
So it wouldn't be a Raw without or an episode of Raw or SmackDown. I apparently for the last like 9 months, if it didn't start off with the bloodline. Um, so we had Jay Uso come out with Solo Sikoa because obviously Jay is Jimmy Uso. Sorry, I wrote Jay. I meant Jimmy. Jay's
no
still,
child.
thinking about things and trying to think about what he wants to do with his life. And so they just came out and were basically trying to kill the drama that is allegedly happening, which is not alleged. We've all seen it with our two eyes. So it's like it's just kind of funny that this is where they're going with it, but that's fine. Saying that all families fight, blah blah blah. And that anyone that has gotten in their way has been taken out. And they mentioned Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and they say soon enough it will be Cody Rhodes. And then we have the Street Profits come out and mock them. This is when I knew that the crowd was going to suck all night long. When there was like virtually no pop for the Street Profits, I was like, you guys are going to suck all night long. And
Yeah,
for the most part, they did suck. Like, I was like, what's going on, Michiganders? What are we doing here? Like,
yeah, that's weird. Michigan usually is at least a decent crowd, but I I remember, yeah, what they didn't get that big of a pop. I was, but
no
like,
one really did. I mean, even like like Trish didn't even get that loud. People were like, "Listen to that pop," and I was like, I would expect it to be a lot louder, considering she's like not been involved in things for. I mean, I think at least the past year or two. It's like, but anyway,
yeah,
So the Street Profits come out because they're going to be facing Jimmy and Solo, and they just kind of talk trash. So then they end up getting into a match. And this was disappointing for me too, because it was such a short match with the Street Profits. And I was like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, I'm glad that they got a match with the Usos, but like, let's not use them to just be like, okay, we need Jimmy and Solo to win to make it seem like the bloodline is doing okay. So let's use the Street Profits. It's like, no, let's not. Let's not do that. There's probably some other random people.
I love that the Street Profits were put in that, because what that does is it keeps them on television, and you need to get them intertwined with the bloodline away and get them, Solo and Jimmy, or geez, yes, I was right that time. Yes. Solo and Jimmy need to be in that situation, because now it's just adding more layers. Now you're getting, to hear Jimmy's side when he talks. You're getting to see more Solo, but he's with Jimmy as the enforcer still, and that builds him up as this just wrecking ball, even getting the pinfall, and that's what's massive. Yeah.
And it can also play into, because we don't know how the storyline's going to go with Jay and the bloodline. It also shows that Jimmy can get the job done without Jay.
That's huge too. That's a really good point to it.
Because if it ends up coming to that, because we still don't know. I mean, we assume that it's going to be the Usos versus whoever at Mania for the tag titles, but it's possible that they are going to try and take Jay away, and it ends up being Solo and Jimmy with the tag titles on the line. Unlikely, but it is a possible scenario, and that definitely feeds into it. So after the match, the bloodline guys, they just kept beating up the Street Profits, and then Kevin Owens came out in a very similar outfit that Sami Zayn has been wearing over the past few weeks.
Ooh, good eye. Good observation.
Yeah. And he comes out of nowhere to save the Profits. He hits a super kick on Solo and then stuns Jimmy. And then he goes to the back. He ends up being talked to eventually and says that, his whole goal is to take down the bloodline, and he doesn't need anyone's help to do so.
Wink,
so
wink.
Even though Sami wasn't there, there's still another added layer to that, which is funny because I wonder if we'll see him on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. We can have Sami doing double duty. We have Cody doing double duty. We have Kevin Owens doing double duty. But guess who's not? Roman Reigns. I'm never going to let that down. I even have it as a talking point later.
The champ of the peeps does more duty than Roman Reigns. Would you agree with that, Sarah?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're here 3 times a week.
Thank you.
Normally.
Thank you. Sarah,
but I feel
your acknowledgement.
So they did come out, and Jimmy said Roman's not here. Well, he says the tribal chief is not here, and he said that he will be on SmackDown. So that just gets me thinking again about how desperately they need to split the titles, because Roman has never, or at least in a good chunk of his reign with the double. No, I think it's basically been since he won both titles. He's never been on both shows like in the same week, or if it has, it's like you could count on like 2 fingers, like how many times he's actually done it. And I would assume that if Cody wins, Cody's not going to be doing double duty either. So they really need to figure out a way to break up the titles, because it is very frustrating as a fan to not see the champion on both shows when he's double champion. And it is taking, so we've said it a million times, it's taking away so many opportunities from other guys going after the titles because they're both on one guy. The problem is, I think that it kind of sucks that if it is Cody that wins at Mania, that Cody's the one who has to split them. I feel like that kind of sucks, because like, why does it have to be him? But something has to happen, because
they're going he's bringing back the wing eagle.
I know, but that still doesn't. It
kind of does.
It not really though. That means that you're unifying the titles. So then what? You're gonna make up a new title?
Yeah.
To bring in a new. Okay, but like
new era.
But how does he do that? He's just gonna be like, oh, I'm bringing this one back, and this one's only going to be the WWE champion. And this other one, I don't want it anymore. That's what he's going to do?
No, he's going to unify them. He's going to say, I don't like having 2 titles. I like having, and then it's going to be from somewhere. I'm going to do a little demonstration for the YouTube viewers, but it's like
Well,
here, it's like I don't like these 2 titles, and he like does that or whatever, puts them on a table. It's like
well, do you
I
remember
only
how
like
he
carrying
introduced
around
the
one.
Intercontinental?
That's what I mean. Yeah, like
He
that. And
took it
it's
out
like
of like a velvet bag.
yeah, I don't have a velvet.
But I'm saying, what's the second one going to be? Is it still going to be the Universal title? What's it going to be?
You could bring this one back.
I just don't know. I feel like the WWE wants it to be very recognizable when you look at it. It likes the big W. So I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
that design is not leaving. I would agree with that. I'm just saying, like,
I
the
just don't
world
think that
heavy,
it's
the WWE heavy. I don't know.
I don't know. I just don't feel like it's that easy to do it. Like that's like a storyline that has to go into it, and I just don't know because then you also feel like starting over new again, the way that they did with the
True.
Universal title. People don't really want to go after the Universal title because it doesn't hold as much importance or value as the WWE Championship. So then bringing in another new one, just seems kind of like, eh.
So I have a whatchamacallit, little devil's
Like,
advocate here. I don't mind it for now at least, but I can see a world where they keep, we'll say the undisputed. He may not have 2, but it'll just be the undisputed for a little bit before they figure out the kinks of what to do with the draft or whatnot. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna make the Intercontinental and US have more prestige and velour to it, where you want to go after it, you want to see those matches, so that you see those champions and it's like, oh, he's next in line, oh, he can hang, and that's the indicator that's going to come back, because we haven't seen that in a while. The Intercontinental and US were just mainly like, oh, they're just the champion of that show because they have to be the champion. No, the it needs the significance of it being that stepping stone title needs to come back. And Papa Paul's doing a great job of hyping that up right now. Like, put it this way, you can't have Montez Ford go straight to be a WWE champion, even though everyone knows he's going to be. But it would be a little weird, right? Because tag team, and then all of a sudden he jumped. There needs to be that little middle ground there. You got to get through the shit before you come out clean. That's just my thoughts on it, that I see the vision there, so it doesn't bother me all that much. However, I do like having 2 champions, 2 shows, and have there be that mini competition like the Ruthless Aggression era.
yeah, I just think that there's too many talented guys in the back and guys that they might be bringing up from NXT at some point, or guys that they might be adding, for them to not have 2 titles. I just think it's like, I don't know. I know that a lot of people don't necessarily love the split rosters. I personally do like it
I love it.
because I think that it gives people more opportunities. And I don't know that we need to see, like the same guys twice a week doing the same things twice a week. Like, it's just, we're in a different era. Like, it just isn't the same, especially when Raw is a 3-hour show already. We don't need to be seeing those people on Raw and then doing the same things on SmackDown. It's like, no, it's kind of cool that it gives you a reason to want to watch next week, rather than being like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens on Friday. No, like, you got to wait a week. I think it's
Yeah.
smarter business wise. The only thing that I thought of, I was like, depending on how things go, I don't think it would be a bad idea to make SmackDown 3 hours.
That thought just popped in here.
Well, oh yeah, no, I thought about this a while ago, but
I just thought that's okay.
oh,
Heads
okay.
up on you. No, heads up on you.
Yeah, so I thought about this a while ago and I just never presented it because I know there's so many people that already think Raw is too long, which I don't agree with. But now that SmackDown's live and it's not filmed on Tuesdays anymore, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't go to 3 hours, because they're going to get to a point where their roster is going to be so ridiculously packed. You're not going to be able to put all of them on TV every single week without it feeling crammed or rushed or fair, I guess. And I'm not opposed to that. I think that it would be kind of a cool idea, actually.
It's all about see, because they're on Fox. I know that 10 o'clock is a news thing.
Yeah.
So that might be tough, but
if they went an hour early.
You could do an hour earlier.
Instead of
You could.
starting at 8, start at 7.
And that's still catering to the kids, but also it's still catering to like the college demographic and that like 18 to 40 range, because it's like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. Oh, awesome. It's still early.
Well, and
So
it's possible maybe I don't know what their
what
contract
else
is
is
with
there on
Fox, but
Fox?
it's possible
What
that they move
else?
channels too, you know?
That's always true,
I
especially
don't
with
know, but
they are with media rights. That was another thing. That's with the Vince stuff on the business side. Was
yeah,
the
they
media
couldn't get
rights.
it done
So
without Vince being there.
so that would okay. So yeah, that stuff is starting to add up. But I'm loving the bloodline right now. And Kevin Owens.
Yeah, it's going to be
And
interesting to see what happens on SmackDown with Sammy, and now that
oh,
we know Roman's going to be there. There's a lot going to happen with the bloodline on Thursday, but we're not there yet.
Friday.
Anyway, so another hi, my name is Brock Lesnar. Good evening, Michigan. Pardon me.
I just want to throw this out there that the fact that I text you that as a joke as soon as his music hit, and then he proceeds to say good evening, Michigan instead of Orlando.
I think that's going to be his thing now.
I kind of love that though.
Okay, this is the thing too. It's like I've never been like a huge Brock Lesnar fan. Like I've never like, oh, I'm gonna watch Raw for Lesnar. Oh, I'm watching this pay-per-view for Lesnar, you know? But
fair,
I do think that it is kind of nice that if we're getting towards the end of Lesnar in WWE at some point, because obviously he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, I'd say like 5 years max.
People don't want to be doing this forever. I like that we're getting this version of him now because it's very reminiscent to how he was at the beginning of his career, where he was talking, he was comedic, he was doing his own thing and actually speaking on the mic and whatever, but it didn't come across as scripted or corny or anything. But this feels more of like, this is Brock. This is kind of who Brock is now. And so even though I don't care about what he's necessarily doing, I do enjoy listening to whatever he has to say right now because it's
so
funny.
It's so funny. It's so genuine. I feel like this is Brock Lesnar outside of WWE. That little bit of personality is coming out now that there is someone else in charge that can get it out of him in the right setting, in the right manner. He's just so loose, so calm, but because he's Brock Lesnar, that he can flip that switch that we saw in the segment and turn into the beast incarnate.
Which is kind of crazy too, because I don't know if you remember when Vince originally announced that he was leaving, Lesnar left the show and
went to the show. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. And it was said that he was pissed about Vince and he wasn't sure about what he was going to do with WWE in the future because him and Vince were so close and blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of interesting to see how far we've come since that moment, because I think that his future was kind of up in the air at that point because he was so loyal to Vince. And now that we're at this point where he's never been better. Like he's not been better for quite some time. Like people weren't as invested in him. I'd probably say since, I don't know, when he was teamed up with Paul Heyman, but like at peak Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Like it has been a while.
Watching John Cena at SummerSlam.
Yeah, the Undertaker at Mania. You know, like people haven't been
matches. Yeah.
So this was a good segment. He came out because MVP and Omos said, hey, we want to offer you something. We want you on Raw next week, blah, blah, blah. So he invited him to the VIP lounge. Lesnar does come out and say, good evening, Michigan. MVP comes out and says, I'm so glad that you accepted my invite, but this is not exactly what I was hoping for. And I don't know if he was alluding to Lesnar's attire or what, but he did apologize and said, pardon me, I apologize for being late and whatever. And he says, to come to the ring, sit down, promises there won't be any suplexes, blah, 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 tells him to sell him the fight. MVP goes into his rant and slightly insults Brock while he's doing it, but Brock gets up and he was like, wow, you sold it. You did
it. Congratulations.
Gosh, Remy. God. Yes. And he's all like excited and he was like, okay, I accept. let's shake on it like men. And they shake, and then he's like, let's drink. And he takes out a flask, and MVP's like, no, I want the champagne. And then Lesnar's like, you're not going to make me drink alone, are you? And MVP's
Yeah,
like, no, man, no. And then he
that's
asks
like
what's in
the
the
number
flask.
one rule.
And Lesnar's like, where I'm from, we call it white lightning. And he takes a sip, and then he spits it out all over Lesnar's face because it was so disgusting. And then, of course, because he did that, he takes out his pocket square and gives it to Brock so he can wipe his face. And then he blows his nose into it. And then he gives him a big ol' F5.
Those were
So,
not in the contract. He said no
yeah.
suplexes.
Yes, that's true.
Nothing about F5s.
So now we know
Incredible.
that we are getting Lesnar versus Omos at WrestleMania. And I have one question.
Oh, and I hopefully have an answer.
Why?
Oh, that's easy. That's the easiest one. It's not. I brings me right into my point, Sarah. I've seen so much hate about this on Twitter, and
I don't have hate. I'm just like,
yeah, no. I'm saying in general. It just in
yeah.
general, I've seen so much on Twitter about just like, oh, this is Triple H going back to Vinnie Mac booking, and he's just doing what his daddy-in-law says. Like, no, here's what they're doing. It's WrestleMania in Hollywood. They want the biggest matches possible from top
Yeah.
to bottom, all different genres, all different styles, whatever. This is a WrestleMania match, and I'm so happy that I can finally use this in a point. Sarah, I have been watching, as I know, and I've said this on the show,
Mm-hmm.
that I have started watching all the WrestleManias from when it was 39 days or whatever until the show. I am currently at 14. It's playing, or no, 13, excuse me. It's playing as we record right now. Undertaker and Sid are fighting for the WWE Championship. And what I've learned in that time is that wrestling evolves, but essentially stays the same. It's the same core, it's the same type of vibe, whatever. And at the first WrestleMania through the first 5, I would say, you just wanted the biggest
Mm-hmm.
dudes. Okay, you just wanted the biggest, strongest, whatever guys in the ring because that sells tickets. That still sells tickets, but fans want more. Fans are more intelligent now. Now that they are a little bit more on the pulse and have a better understanding of how things work, they want to see better story with their matches. Here's the thing with this match. This match is just a bridge to the conclusion of Bobby and Brock. And it's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
reformation of the Hurt Business, whether it is with Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley, and then Sheldon and Cedric and whatever. The point is that the story right now that's being told for this WrestleMania match is MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Omos versus Brock Lesnar. It's not Omos versus Brock Lesnar. So once
But
people realize that, then the match is perfect. Because imagine just you putting a video game on and you playing with Brock Lesnar and Omos. Like, you kind of want the ring to break.
Bobby's gonna have his own match. So
Exactly. But but he can go on his own for a bit. MVP's
okay.
doing the bidding for him because let's face it, Bobby Lashley's the Hurt Business is formed and reformed. It just hasn't been put on television yet.
Yeah,
So
it's
Bobby's
I
going to
mean,
do the Bray Wyatt thing, and he'll figure shit out there, and then he's going to come back, fight Brock Lesnar, and then Brock and Bray may have a few, whatever the case may be. But that's what it is. The story is not Omos and Brock; it's the Hurt Business versus Brock.
this isn't a match that I particularly care about, but I do like Omos. So
There's a lot of potential.
I just like him as a human being.
Oh, he's
You
such a
know,
good guy too. Oh,
that's what I mean. Like
oh,
I don't necessarily care about what he does in the ring, but he's such a nice guy that it's hard for me to not care, if
oh
that
yeah.
makes any sense. Like I like him as a person, so I'm like, go Omos, even though I want to call you Omos, because
That's
that's
what
how you,
Brock did. He was like
I know.
Osmos,
Osma, Osmi,
almost
Sma, Shma.
to
Yeah, no.
almost.
I was like, we can forgive him. He's a
Yeah,
country man. He doesn't know what he's
country
talking about.
bumpkin.
Oh, sorry. Soar just tweeted me something. He just tweeted about.
Oh,
Oh, he tweeted both of us. I don't know if
Whoa.
he's in the chat, but he says, could any current wrestlers have taken Prime Brock? I think so.
That's a great question.
Could anyone take Prime Brock?
Roman Reigns. No. No, not Kevin Owens.
I
Even
don't.
though I've been watching his Ring of Honor.
I
Cody
mean-
now. Cody now could hang.
Well, we have to think about Prime Brock actually doing a lot of wrestling moves and not just suplexes and F5s because
No,
he
'cause
was
he
doing
could, yeah.
moonsaults and stuff. So it's like if you think
Sure.
about that, Brock
Iron Man matches
Lesnar.
with Adam. He was having Iron Man match with Kurt Angle. I mean, the man can
So
hang in the
that's what I
ring.
mean. I feel like there's plenty of guys that probably could because he was a little bit smaller, and I don't mean like he wasn't jacked. He was jacked,
There
but
it
he
is.
wasn't.
There it is.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
That's a good answer. That's a
Don't
good
even
answer.
get me started on Imperium. I am obsessed with all of them. I'm obsessed with all of them right now. And when I say all of them, I mean literally all of them. After I watched them on the bump, it just solidified I love them all.
Big E could.
I love how you're just ignoring me.
I'm listening, but
yeah.
I'm still thinking of answers for the.
I don't want to talk about Big E. Makes me sad.
Oh, that way. Okay.
We still
All right, cool.
at the end of the month though, he gets another scan, so
Huge.
maybe we'll get some good news. So let's move on since we've kind of talked about SmackDown already in the Bloodline. Cody Rhodes, he did have a match with Chad Gable, which was a great match.
Phenomenal.
Of course, there's literally nothing to say about it other than
most underrated wrestler in the
Chad
company
Gable.
right now.
I know he's so good.
That German suplex was awesome.
And when he countered the Cody Cutter, wasn't it the Cody Cutter?
With that German suplex. It was
yeah. That was so good. I mean, even WWE, I think, tweeted out, give Chad Gable his flowers. I think it was WWE that tweeted that out. I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah. Like, he's so underrated. And I think part of it is because he doesn't play a necessarily serious character. So people often overlook what they can actually do in the ring because they just think the comedic part of their character is overshadowing that or something. I don't know. But oftentimes, even if you look back through history, a lot of those guys were actually really good wrestlers. Like, if we're going to talk about Eugene was a good wrestler, has wrestling school. Like, I mean, there's a reason why that guy is doing that, you know, but it's like, you never would know because of his character.
Wrestle Triple H.
So, but at the end of the match, because, you know, we know that Cody won, he gets on the mic and says that he knows that Roman will be on SmackDown, and he just says, and I will be too. So we know that Cody's going to be on SmackDown. It's going to be the first time that him and Roman will be face to face, and I'm very excited about it because we're less than 5 weeks away now from the first night of WrestleMania. So it's about time. And I was saying that it is kind of a weird, I said this last night, even when I was watching it, I said it to my sister, that Cody is in such a weird position, I think, because, well, first, you know, he's on Raw and technically Roman's on SmackDown. So if he's never on Raw, as we said at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, he's not.
So that's awkward. But also, he returned at Royal Rumble and he had been gone since, you know, having a trilogy with Seth Rollins. So it wasn't even like he really left in the middle of the height of a feud.
Yeah.
So he comes back to Royal Rumble, has no connection to anything. Like, his fingers aren't in anything from before he left. Wins the Royal Rumble. So he wins a match at Mania against Roman Reigns. Roman is actively involved in this humongous storyline with Sami Zayn, the rest of the bloodline, whatever. So he can't really be doing anything with Cody at this point. So he's just in this random sphere of like being weird on Raw every week because he has to be. But like, they can't put him in some random feud because it is less than 5 weeks until Mania. So it wouldn't make any sense for him to be doing anything other than preparing for his match with Roman. So it's kind of like, you know, this match was great with Chad Gable, but it was one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, let's get Gable and Cody in a match because like that'll be good. But it's like,
that's what you're going for. It's just
basically just to get Cody on TV.
It is, but it's fine. I like it in the sense where if you're just gonna wrestle these guys and they're gonna put on great matches, yeah, you know what the outcome is essentially gonna be, but like you just want to be entertained for a good 20 minutes. I think you could do 20 minutes with someone, maybe 15,
Mm-hmm.
and that's at least 2 commercial breaks. So if you do stuff like that, as Corey Graves mentioned, iron sharpens iron. That's Cody's mentality. It is.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you do that is by being in these matches. Like put Cody and Johnny Gargano against each other
That
on
would
the
be
road
fire.
to, that would be an unbelievable match that, it doesn't matter that Johnny Gargano lost. It's just the fact that they're going to put on a banger match on one of the Mondays or one of the Mondays before Mania. And that's just going to make people like, wow, he's so good. I want to see him at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's nice in that way. And also, what it does is it sets up potential rivals for the title once he wins it. So it's all about planting the seeds now and who can, hang with him, who would, make for good chemistry for a feud. That's what the idea is with now. That's usually a break glass in case of emergency type of situation, and we've come to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I just was thinking about it last night and I was like, "Oh yeah, they kind of just keep having him on." And it's just because we need Cody in a match.
You need to see
So
Cody Rhodes.
it's just kind of, I don't know, I thought it was kind of interesting. But what do you think is going to happen on SmackDown when they come face to face? I kind of have a feeling he might run into some other people before he runs into Roman. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he bumps into Paul Heyman, because Heyman talked about it on Raw about, how it's kind of foolish in a way for Cody to be coming to SmackDown to come face to face with Roman, but then Kathy was like, "Hey, he never said he was coming face to face with Roman," and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, why are they even telling you to say that, Kathy? Because it's like, why else would he be on SmackDown? Like, I get it, but like, I don't get it. But what do you think is going to happen?
I expect Cody to just hang out. They're gonna close the show for sure. So it's gonna be a lot of backstage stuff with what you're saying. I feel like he runs into like Solo
Mm-hmm.
and he tries to talk to him and Solo just snubs him. And then you'll get Heyman. You may even get like Sammy. You may get a Cody and Sammy moment. And then, I don't know who will come out to the ring first, but whoever doesn't will just come in through the crowd, or even, well, I was gonna say if Cody comes no music and just goes, "There you are," or something along those lines, less corny, then that would be it. But if Cody Rhodes gonna be on a show, you need to have him do his entrance.
I know.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
care how cheesy it is that he's just
Make
gonna
sure you
talk to
have it
him.
in the pyro budget.
Yeah, all the pyro. I
Mm-hmm.
want him to have all the pyro leading up to Mania and for both nights of Mania.
Imagine him winning Mania and how much they're going to have.
My God, that would be legitimately 4th of July at the.
Rest in peace to those people's eardrums.
Oh my God,
Because
that's
it
like
really
the
it's
F word.
very loud.
It's so loud. It's
But
a lot louder than I thought.
you know what, I have mentioned it before, and I think it would be pretty cool because they don't have to have him go on SmackDown to do it. I would love, since we were just talking about what Cody's going to be doing between now and Mania, I would love if my idea of him having to peg off every member of the bloodline up until Mania happens, because there's going to be 4 weeks until, so there should be like 4 Raws, I think, between this coming Monday and Mania, so
Yeah.
that he would get Jimmy, Jay, Solo. So I guess he only needs 3, maybe 2, because it depends on what Jay's doing. But I
We
feel
don't
like
know
that
what
would
Jay
be
is. Lost
pretty
soul.
cool, though.
Oh no, I agree. That's a great idea. I just don't know if they would
It
do
seems like they're
that.
not going in that direction, but I feel like it would be cool for them to do that, because I think it like gets him so much more involved in the bloodline storyline leading up to Mania, rather than him just kind of like appearing on SmackDown to be like, "Hey Roman, don't forget about me." And then it's like, and
Yeah.
then we're going to have Roman on Raw because Cody can't be on SmackDown every single week. But it just feels like there needs to be some more intertwining there.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are so actively dealing with Sammy and Kevin and the Usos and Jay and what's going on with them, and the power dynamic with Roman and Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's just so much going on. they're gonna have to make sure that we're gonna need to get another moment like how we felt with Cody and Paul in the ring and talking. We need to have another moment like that, but not necessarily a repeat of that. You know what I mean?
No, not like a part 2.
Yeah, something where we feel that good and like excited about the match, because it's not that I'm not excited, but it's like it kind of gets put on the back burner when all of this other stuff keeps happening with the Usos and Kevin and Sammy. It's like you kind of are like, oh wait, yeah, there's Cody still going on with Roman.
There he is.
Yeah. So anyway, this was a little small moment but exciting for me because I am a big fan of the Judgment Day minus Dominic. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of Finn Balor and Damian Priest. I was very proud of myself for those two names. I can't lie.
The Damian Priest got me just because I was like, oh, all right, I didn't even realize you could use that in that
Damian.
name.
Yeah. So I'm pretty proud of those.
Damian. Yeah, no.
Damian. I love it. So even though this was just like a little backstage moment, first of all, I love how they're just always huddled in the back, like walking the halls, just like the backstage area. I love that they do that.
The South Park goth kids.
Dominic adds more fuel to the fire of people assuming that he's going to be facing Ray at WrestleMania, talking about, he is ex-con Dom. Oh my god, I can't.
Look, did you see Mommy wiped away that tear that he had?
Yeah. So we did get that, which I am interested to see how that develops over the next few weeks, because I can't imagine that they're gonna pass on that opportunity to have father versus son. I just think, come on now.
At the same place or same location in Los Angeles where Eddie and Ray opened the show.
I'm like, you can't pass on. And when have you ever seen a father versus son?
You
I mean,
don't.
It doesn't happen.
I think I saw one. I mean, TNA I saw. No, never mind. Continue.
Okay. Rhea also hyped up her match with Charlotte, which I am excited about. Because Rhea is a queen. And then we do have the official challenge from Finn Balor to Edge, which banger. Like we kind of talked about it last week where we were like, is this what's going to happen? Are they going to have Finn versus Edge? Because I was someone, and I believe you co-signed with me. We've been so over the Judgment Day versus the Grit couple. Like, we were excited for it to be over at the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I understand why they did it, but don't drag it out.
Right. And so I was like, okay, that's great. That's over. We're done. It's put to bed. And so when I saw this with Finn and Edge last week, I was a little bit concerned because I just did not want to see this go on any further. But I love the idea of them being in a singles match because they're going to have a phenomenal match. I already know. And Finn is going to be on Mania.
Finally.
I am so excited. I'm like, I was looking through my old phone, my first iPhone. My first iPhone was an iPhone 4, which is crazy because I didn't have an iPhone before that. I know.
I had a 4S.
I had a 4S, and I was going through it and looking at all my pictures. And I had it's so cringy, right? Because I was like in my early 20s. I was probably like, when did I think I got my first one in 2012. So I would have been 22, 23. So many photos of Finn Balor on my phone. Shirtless Finn Balor on my phone. So, yeah, the thirst goes hard for Finn, and I'm very excited.
It runs deep.
It runs deep in my soul, Finn Balor. So I'm very excited, and I think, that's going to be such a good match, him and Edge. Oh, my gosh. Like, that's a match that I'm okay with being kind of like a last minute one that they're throwing on the card. And maybe a lot of people don't particularly care for it. But I'm like, if you appreciate good wrestling and storytelling, you're going to want to watch that match because that is going to be
a very good match. It's going to be good, especially when it's Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, I think that would be cool if they do add something like that. And we'll have to see because Finn challenged Edge. We have not heard from Edge. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is the one that raises the stakes and puts on, the stipulation.
Yeah,
because he's like, I just want this to be done. We're done. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and Hell in a Cell is like that's the culmination.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And speaking of Mania, I kind of talked about this at the beginning. So I want to say what's going on with Carmella. She's been pushed pretty hard since she randomly returned, however many weeks ago. She got put into the Elimination Chamber match. Was she the last one? But it was her and Asuka, right? So she
Yeah.
was the last one of the last two in the match. Then she got a match with Asuka on Raw this week. She's getting a match with Bianca next week. And I was saying that I'm nervous that they're trying to push her into this Raw Women's Title match, and you said you don't think so. You see what they're
No,
doing. So
I'm
what
here
what
to
are they
ease
doing?
your. I'm here to ease your worries,
Okay,
Sarah, because they're not doing that at all. Thank God. If this was a
because
different era, I would agree with you and whatnot. But
yeah,
this is Papa Paul, and what he's doing now is getting Carmella back into the spotlight, getting her back into having fans recognize her because she was gone for a while. I mean, I just listened to After the Bell, the Corey
hmm
Graves and Kevin Patrick podcast that WWE has, and I'm gonna start listening to that a lot more. It's a really good show, and I love KP, so I'm a really sucker for him. But they had Carmella on the last episode, and to hear what she went through, don't need to get into it right now, but pretty deep, pretty personal. So she's went through some shit, and you forget too how long she's been here. I mean, she was paired with Enzo and Cass
that was
in
a great group.
NXT. And that was a fantastic little faction they had there. And then she comes up to the main roster and people just remember her as being, mouth of this I almost said mouth of the South, but mouth of Staten Island, Queen of Staten Island, whatever. And they don't really credit her for in-ring ability, but she can hold her own. And that's what I'm seeing with this to bring it back to my point is what I'm seeing now is that they're going to put her in matches with like Asuka, Bianca to showcase what she can really do because her match last night was really good. Like, I mean, there was a really good back and forth where she came, there's a pin maneuver, pin combo into then Carmella's finisher, then Oscar reversed it, and then also the way that she was just getting clobbered. I mean, Oscar hit her with a backhand that
hmm
I thought was gonna knock her jaw off. It was incredible. So right now they're just planting seeds again for Asuka's eventual next challenger after Bianca, if it's a rematch clause or if it's just the after Mania.
Yeah,
And you need
backlash.
backlashes. Yeah. You just need, you always need competitors at the go for, or contenders ready to go for the title. And
hmm
Carmella, they're just putting her back. They're like, no, she's a mainstay on the roster. And then to have her go in with Chelsea Green, now that's great because they both are very similar
hmm
and you could put them together,
I
get
liked
Chelsea a
that.
little over, obviously boost Carmella because she could be like, I'm, the boss, the princess around here, and then they could do their own little faction. I don't know. There's a lot you can do there. So
I
I'm
liked
fine with
their
whatever she's doing.
I liked their little interaction last night. I thought that
It
was a
was
really good
good. It
idea
was really good.
because although Carmella's using the Staten Island thing again, she's not really gone full into what that character was when
No,
she
yeah.
when she was in that. It's definitely a mix of basically everything that she's done, all the different
Agree.
characters and directions that she's gone in since then. So I liked that little interaction with her and Chelsea. And it seemed like they actually had some like natural chemistry. I don't know if they're actually friends or if they've interacted a whole lot otherwise, but I thought it was I was like kind of interested. I felt like it could be a funny moment. But yeah, I just was curious what your thoughts were because I was like, okay, she's getting a match with Bianca next week. Now what are we doing? So yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad that it's not going to be a triple threat, or I'm hoping
It
that
would
that's
no,
not the direction that it's going in.
not on the
But
cards. No.
yeah, no, I think I like what they're doing right now, and Asuka is just amazing. I mean, I just every time she comes out, I'm just like, I love you. I love you so much,
She's
Asuka.
so good.
Did
Oh,
you
she's
see what
incredible.
Bailey said about her too
In
during
that
the
interview?
no, it was during the ratings, the WWE 2K23
Oh
rating
no, I didn't know.
reveal. She said something like she was saying that Asuka is like the greatest in the entire locker room and that she deserves everything and like no one can hold a candle to her basically. So
I would agree. Yeah.
oh yeah, no, 100%.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I'm glad that everyone is seeing how great Asuka is because I just love Asuka.
We know.
And then speaking of people that I love, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins. So
Oh.
first of all, we got The Miz coming out to do Miz TV, and that is where he finally announces what his wife, Maurice, gave him in the envelope last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And that is that he will be the host for WrestleMania, which is very fitting. He is the guy from Hollywood, California, who's the megastar. So he's going to be
Born and raised in
hosting.
Ohio.
Yeah, well, you know, he's the megastar
He's
from
Hollywood.
yeah. So he will be hosting WrestleMania. So he's just going on and on about how great he is and whatever. Seth Rollins decides that he is going to interrupt, which I love. His outfit was amazing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but his sunglasses were also furry. I don't know if you noticed that, but it matched his jacket. They were furry. So he was just coming out there. They were kind of going back and forth. And then he eventually says, you know, the whole point I'm out here is because I need you to call Logan Paul because he's not answering my calls. I can't reach him. Miz says, no. And then he gets super kicked by Rollins, and then he steals his phone. And as great as this segment was, it didn't feel like it felt like Logan. That was like a pre-recorded video. That did not feel like he was actually live.
Probably not live. But I loved it because it was.
He wasn't even looking at the phone though, because he was like, Miz, stop calling me, and then he's like as Seth's talking, like he's not even like looking at the phone to see that it's not Miz. And I'm like, couldn't you have acted like a little bit better? Even if this was legitimately a live FaceTime, couldn't you have at least looked at the phone like at least once? Because when do you ever FaceTime and you're just like not looking at the phone? I just thought, I was like, come on, Logan, you had one job.
I loved the fact that this was a comedic sketch or comedic relief segment in the mix, but they incorporated new age stuff. So like to get his phone, he didn't type in a password.
He had to use the Face ID.
It was like Face ID. It was just, it's that stuff now that's just, they're on it. And it's the little details that make you remember a segment where we could have just been like, oh yeah, like he wasn't looking at the phone and it was just like, you could tell it was, shoddy, whatever. It's like, you didn't really care about that because it's like, all right, they're doing it. They're actually going through with this type of new age stuff. So, it's in the works. Like this was a test and we could see more of this stuff. It was awesome. I love it.
And I liked that he started the phone call off with mocking Jake for losing.
Oh, it's so funny. I will
like Jakey Poo.
I love making fun of Jake Paul when he loses.
Well, this is the first time he's lost, but
to me he loses every day. So.
Well, it's because all the other ones were scripted. So he was like, it was rigged. Yeah. He was paid to win. So but now he fought a legitimate boxer and he couldn't take him down.
His ass kicked.
Yeah. So I like that he called him like Jakey Poo and was like, oh, how is he doing?
And then bye bitch.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing ever. Oh my god, I've watched that so many times today when he hung up and he's like, oh wait, Logan, one more thing. And he's like, bye bitch. And then he like, that was when I was just like, I love this man so much. And I just love this current character too, because even though he's silly and he's flamboyant and maybe, in some people's eyes, he's not serious, because people were saying that when Becky was basically the female Seth Rollins for a while, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. That it's like, oh, she couldn't be taken seriously. Why? Because he's not changing from still being really good in the ring and still like threatening to you, like to an opponent, so it's like they're not making him be funny and silly and all of this and then also dumb down how he is in the ring. So I like that that's a good pairing, and I think he looks like he's just having the greatest time of his life right now. So we do know that Logan is going to be on Raw next week. So finally my answers or my prayers are answered. I'm just wondering though. So I said that I want him on multiple Raws. I'm hoping that this means that he will be on multiple Raws, and that my other hope is that we don't have to see Seth coax him into coming to Raw every single week, because I want Seth to have a proper feud, and I can get behind this match, and I can get behind Seth facing Logan at WrestleMania more if they actually have them have a real feud, and it's not just Logan's on one Raw now, like he's on Raw next week, which is like, why do you have to be there when Cena's there, you dummy? And then he'll be on the go home Raw. That's it. Like, why though? Like, it's just like, that's not enough substance, I feel like, for a Mania match and for people to get behind it, because people boo Logan, but they also don't, because he's so naturally good in the ring.
I can't boo him.
So it's like, oh, I can. That's easy for me.
I can't. He's too good.
But I'm just saying, like, he's not enough of a heel. Like, he doesn't gain that heat naturally to not be on TV constantly and people still be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna root against Logan. Like, I feel like he gets the heel heat, but like there needs to be more, because technically this was him turning.
Yeah,
you know, like he just turned.
Don't you think that he gets enough heat though from him being the outsider, the social media?
No.
Really? I
don't
see. I
think
feel
so.
like he gets a ton of heat from that.
Online.
Just outsider.
Online. Yes.
It's half the heat.
In person, no. I don't think so. Because up until this point, up until he attacked Seth at Elimination Chamber, he was the babyface. I mean, for the most part, he was supposed to be. He was booked that way, obviously. So, well, when he went up against Roman, do you think that Roman was the babyface? No.
No, but he's got, but
well, he was in the middle, but I'm saying, like, he was full-blown heel. Then he attacks like one of the biggest guys on Raw, so he's supposed to be there. But I feel like it, unless something gigantic happens on Raw on next week that like just solidifies him being completely hated, I feel like still they need to have him on at least 2 more of the next 4 Raws. And it can't just be now because Cena and, you know, it's in Boston, whatever. And then they go to the go home Raw before Mania. Like, I would just be so disappointed, but more so disappointed because I just feel like Seth deserves more, but I'm probably just biased. I don't know. But since we are talking about Raw next week, let's talk about John Cena. Shut up, stop. Austin Theory did tease a little bit of a, you know, some feud, a match with John Cena at WrestleMania, because he demanded an interview backstage and says that he was shocked that he wasn't being talked about and that everyone was talking about John Cena. And he says, you know, he gets his hustle, loyalty, and respect, and he will give him the respect that he deserves next week, but he better get the same respect back from John. And so they're already teasing that, and I am so excited because we have to remember in December there was that little tease too when Cena was around and they kind of had that thing backstage going on and whatever. So I'm curious because I think this is Endgame. This is what is going to be the Mania match. I read about it too. Thank God they scrapped Logan Paul versus Cena. I mean,
yeah, you need Seth. I agree.
Wouldn't have, yeah. I'm curious because I am curious to see if we're going to see more of the US Open challenges and if he's going to continue that between now and Mania, or are we just going to get full into Cena challenges him, Theory challenges him, they talk about having a match. Like, I'm curious to see what happens on Raw and how that's going to develop.
What if Cena handpicks Theory's US Open opponents leading up to the match of Mania?
Yeah, but how would he do that though? Like, how would Theory convince him to do that?
Well,
or why? How would he get involved in doing that?
Fight me at Mania or something, and then it's like, all right, but you haven't proved like you still a cocky kid. You need to learn the ropes from veterans and whatnot. So I'm gonna handpick these guys for you to face, and he doesn't even need to be there to be on the show. He can just do pre-recorded, like. And all right, Austin, like he can go to each town or wherever, like green screen, whatever at this point. And, you know, each has a story with whatnot, and it's a different person from his past that he beats to lead up to the match. And it's more like, yes, now you've gained that, like, it's all about earning the, you know, the loyalty and respect by hustling. So it's another added layer there, and he has to do it through the people that he turned, whatever. So you get like an A-Town down Johnny wrestling match.
A-Town down. Stop. I swear you say that on purpose just to like make my skin
What?
crawl. You say it
Sarah,
on purpose.
that is so rude of you to accost me
Okay.
like that.
Yes, we are still reading comments. I promise I'll get to you guys in just a second. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that would be kind of interesting. I think that we might get a little bit more insight whether or not they do exactly what you're saying, or if they just allude more to them having a matchup. I don't care how it happens. I just want it to happen at Mania. I'm so excited. And it's funny because I don't know if we were recording this and doing this on YouTube when we originally heard about this, and I was like, ew, no, that can't happen.
I don't
And
know
now
if we're on YouTube, so I think YouTube is getting your face
I know. And I'm
theory
like,
on this, not your
I
heel.
think that I am glad that we don't have that on the video so that we can't pull it back and be
You,
like, oh my gosh.
it's on the podcast somewhere. It's on
Probably.
one of the networks.
Don't find it. Don't find it. But yeah, no, I'm very excited about this match. And I think part of it too is not just because like, oh, like kind of like theory at this point. I think part of it is because just knowing that he grew up a massive John Cena fan, I'm like excited for him because I can't imagine how surreal that must feel. And I feel like that's something that is always going to be a dream, you know, like if you were a big Bret Hart fan and then you got into wrestling, you always dreamed that you could have a match with Bret Hart, but you know it's never going to happen. The fact that he's 25 and Cena's still like chilling is like, yeah, dude, I can do WrestleMania and you can actually have it. Like, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. That is really cool.
So I'm really excited to see how that happens. I just want to make sure we get to the comments.
Some comments.
I got it. Ron 94, he is an OG. What's up? Thank you for popping in because he usually is here for my Patriots streams. We have Ladarius from Twitter. Hello. He says Theory versus Cena at WrestleMania is going to happen. I'm excited for this match. Me too. Thank goodness. The Kingdom of Razor. I would like to believe that you were saying this about Razor Ramon. I don't know, but we appreciate it. And he also says, I actually like the idea of Austin Theory beating people of John Cena's past. Oh, this idea was in SVR 2011 in the build to face The Undertaker. That is actually a really good idea.
Wrestling video games have some of the best storylines that I wish they would transfer over to reality.
And what's kind of crazy about that too is why aren't more of the people that come up with the ideas for the video games actually working for wrestling? Like, why are these creative people only working on games and they're not like, you know what, maybe we should use you on our creative team?
I know, I don't get it.
It seems like a wasted opportunity, but
it kind of is. I don't know why. That boggled my mind, the amount of fucking video games I played.
So then we move on to Bobby Lashley, who he was shown doing the Muscle Man dance last night. So first of all, Bobby Lashley versus Elias. I just want to know what are they doing to my boy Elias? I feel like they don't know what to do with him, but they have him come back as Elias after finishing Ezekiel, and then they're just like, LOL, you're just gonna be a joke on the roster. So I'm like, man, why? And his theme music is actually pretty good. When they came back from break and it was like him singing, I was like, why? I want to go back to, you know, how Elias was originally.
His theme song has come on shuffle when I'm driving around. Mm-hmm. And if I don't know if it's Walk with Elias or Amen, but Amen fucking slaps. I'm not like go listen to Amen by Elias and tell me that man doesn't have pipes.
We stand Jeff. His real name is Jeff.
His name is Jeff.
His name is Jeff. Yeah.
Jeff.
So I feel kind of sad about what they're doing with him, but hopefully we'll see something. I don't know. Maybe they're just using him as like roster cushion, but I feel like he's better than just being roster cushion at this point. So it just kind of sucks. But basically he gets pummeled by Bobby Lashley because why wouldn't he? And then I felt like his little post-match promo, did it just feel kind of weird to you? I felt it was so monotone and just like, I don't know. I don't know if it was supposed to be in contrast to what video we were about to see from Bray Wyatt, but it just felt very much like, oh, I'm not done with Brock Lesnar, but I
He's
don't
just
play these
tired.
childhood games, so keep my name out of your mouth or you'll get hurt. And then he just like drops the mic and leaves. I'm like, what is happening here? I just felt like it was really a weird sequence.
He's just weird on the
It just
mic.
felt weird.
Weird.
And then as he's walking up the ramp, of course, Bray is listening. So they show a little bit of, last week's SmackDown of him being like a production guy, almost like Ashton Kutcher on Punked. I have no idea what that whole thing is about, but he's like laughing at himself on TV. And then we see him bring back the Muscle Man dance, pull up your pants and do the Muscle Man dance, you know, wiggle your behind and then erase your mind, you know?
I know.
Yeah. What
I
is the
do
other
it
one?
every
Like
weekend.
shake your hips. What does he? No, what does he say? He said
Shake
something
your
like follow. I don't remember, but anyway, I like the one that's like shake your behind, erase your mind, and then you're just like, oh god.
oh.
So also Bobby looked a little bit confused when that was happening, which a lot of Twitter was confused, and I don't know if people just didn't pay attention to Firefly Funhouse stuff when
What
it
are we
originally
doing?
happened, but this was something that he's shown before, so
What are we doing?
I was confused about why other people were confused.
Me
Um,
too. I'm like,
but
what
the
are we
Muscle
doing?
Man dance, we stand.
We stand. And then we got a little howdy too. We said howdy to Uncle Howdy.
Yep. Which
And
I'm getting a
I
little
love
bit
him.
nervous because I really don't want to know who the identity of Howdy is, but I feel like we're getting to a point where they're going to reveal it at some point, and I'm a little bit sad. But
John, I'm just along for the ride with this. They're knocking it out of the park every week with the Bray Wyatt
you
shit
know,
that I
it's
don't even want to
crazy.
have a comment. I'm just
Have
enjoying the
you
ride.
have you read the comments though? People are like not happy. People think that he's gotten stale
He's
and
not
that
gone
this
still.
is boring, or like the hype of Bray was when he first returned, but now it's gone. And I was like, is that
They
how people
don't
feel?
understand it. They have an
It's surface
issue
level.
to think critically and to explore their own mind. What he is doing is
Erase your
so
mind.
different. It's so different that people are like, what the hell am I supposed to like this? Is he's like, oh, the easy thing is just say it's stale because I don't know what he's saying. It's like, no, the whole point
I'm
of his
12.
character right now.
I loved the Shield when I was 8.
Yeah, it's that type of fan that just
Yeah.
doesn't have the mental capacity to understand this as a psychological thing. That's why he's going after Bobby Lashley and he teased up Brock Lesnar because it's all these guys that are supposed to be just like macho and strong and all this, and they don't have that side that is like a softer, vulnerable side. That's
My
what
lo-
he's going after.
my life was never the same when Seth Rollins hit the Shield with a chair when I was 8 years old.
And then
my
I went
life
to
my life was forever altered
and then I
at
failed my
8.
spelling test and it was just all
Yeah.
downhill
Oh my
from
god,
there.
I couldn't concentrate. I felt so betrayed when I was 8.
It's incredible.
I love how you think an 8-year-old is in 6th grade. Did you say 6th grade?
I said spelling. No, I said you
Oh,
failed your
okay. I thought
spelling
you said
test.
6th grade. I was like, wow, that's a really smart
I didn't
kid.
even guess. I wasn't guessing grades.
Oh,
I
okay.
I don't know what grade they'd be in. I just know they'd be taking a spelling test.
If they were if they were 8, they'd be like in second
Second,
grade,
third.
second
Yeah.
or
So
third.
they're
Yes.
taking spelling tests.
Anyway, yeah. So, are you excited about this match at Mania?
Yes, because I want Bray Wyatt to break Bobby Lashley mentally, and then Bobby Lashley just break whatever version of Bray Wyatt we get physically.
Okay. I mean, yeah. So, I'm sorry. I'm just like I'm trying to like
That was
process.
see that's another thing that 8-year-old wrestling fans wouldn't understand what I just said. So
No,
I
I
will
know.
explain it to you as the champ, not you,
No, I
Sarah, but
don't.
the people.
I was gonna be like, excuse me. No, I'm saying I'm like trying to process because if you asked me if I was excited about this match, I would say no. But
Well,
just because they're so different, that sometimes it can be difficult to get excited about something like that. It would be like, how excited are you to see Rey Mysterio versus The Big Show? I'm not. Like, I'm not excited, because it's like, yeah, it's great that it's this little guy versus this gigantic guy. And in this case with Bray and Lashley, it is a giant man versus a more like traditional wrestler kind of guy. And I'm saying it in Bray because Bray's not super strong, but he's not
but he's
small,
traditional.
but he's
That's a
not
good way to put
huge.
it.
Right. Yeah. So I think that, yeah, how they build this up over the next few weeks is going to be what either pulls me in or just kind of keeps me where I'm at, if that makes sense.
It does. I agree.
So, yeah, because I think I was just, when we had been talking about Mania, we just assumed it was going to be Lesnar Lashley at Mania. So I think that's just kind of where I got my head. And I was thinking that Bray was going to be facing somebody else. I didn't know who, but so I think this feels very random to me, and I'm just not sure how all of this is going to make sense. But I mean, they still have a few weeks, as we've said on here already, to make it make sense. So I wanted to get to more comments. So we have Raw94 saying that he missed Raw last night, so I'm lost.
It's a good
Make
one.
sure you rewatch it. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the best, but I wouldn't say it was definitely not the worst.
It's a good one, though.
The main event was kind of interesting. I was really surprised about that. David says Amen is great.
Amen. Amen.
Does he sing like with an accent too?
He's got something.
But is it like, but that's not natural. It's kind of like when you sing country, you kind of sing in a country accent, even though you're from the North, Yeah.
No,
it's
but
like,
you can hear it like his voice that he speaks with in the ring. You can hear that on the mic. It's incredible.
Okay. Kingdom of Razor says, I want both of your opinions. Do you think Charlotte Flair needs a faction or a protege? How would you book it?
No.
Neither of them.
I want,
not a
if
faction.
it's a faction, it needs to be the baddest bitches in NXT. Like, give me the Kiana James.
Well, that would be kind of a faction with proteges.
That's so like if you're gonna go this route, I particularly don't think she needs one right now. But if you're gonna go that route with her, then it's got to be like a Kiana James, someone of that nature who is just like no nonsense.
What
all
about like
business.
Zoe Stark?
No,
but she's more of that like muscle, isn't she?
Too rough and tough.
Okay.
She's not. If she doesn't have that elegance, that like it's. I hate
okay.
comparing in that way, but we're talking about characters and fit.
Yeah.
Like Zoe Stark, I would rather see her with like a damage control.
Yeah.
Like that would make more sense for her to be and then hang out with Charlotte Flair.
I don't know that I care about her being in a faction or having a protege.
Yeah.
What I need her to be a heel.
Yeah, that's it.
I can't get behind her being a babyface. I don't like it. It's not natural. We've said it on here when we talked about this, I don't know how many weeks ago. It's a little alarming to think about someone not being a naturally good babyface because usually that's very easy for people. It's more difficult for them to be a heel, but it's not difficult for her. So I know that they probably want her to be the girl on SmackDown, but I just feel like it's just not working. I don't know that many people are buying into it. I mean, people root for her because obviously, first of all, she's a Flair. Second of all, she's incredible in the ring. So there's, you can't take anything away from her, but she's just boring as a face. Like there's just nothing appealing to me about that. Not to mention that segment with Dominic last week was cringe upon cringe upon cringe. It was so bad, but yeah, that would be how I would book her. Honestly, none of this that you're asking about, but turn her heel, which I don't know. Maybe it'll happen after she gets pissed about losing to Rhea. I don't know, but and Ladarius says that Muscle Man dance is a banger. Yes, it is.
Damn right, it's a banger.
And hey, you don't need to know how to dance because that man tells you how to dance. So, yeah. Then let's get to the main event, which was Becky Lynch and Lita. They made history in the main event. This actually shocked me, if we're being honest. I did not see this happening. It was a good match. Lita needs some more practice in the ring. That girl, I love you. You are a queen, but girl,
yeah,
I noticed that last. Did you notice it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. It was a little rough.
Yeah, I'm not. I wish. I don't know. I'm gonna say
Obviously,
that
I feel like it's kind of like one of those things where you notice it, but you kind of give her a pass because it's Lita.
it's Lita. That's
You
why
know,
I'm letting it be.
yeah.
I just
So yeah, we got plenty of good years ago that
Yeah,
whatever.
we know what
Um,
we're setting up here. I
yeah,
just don't agree with the decision to take the titles off Damage Control, but
right. Well, okay,
who am
so
I?
yeah,
Just a
so
champion in a basement.
that was the part that I was genuinely surprised about. I did not see that happening, especially before Mania. Um, so we see, Bailey gets involved, and we talked about how Trish was backstage, or she was supposed to be brought out at, I don't know, last week and the week before. It's been a thing for the last like month or so. So they finally have her come out just randomly, which I am not hating because Trish is my queen. I want to look like her when I am 47 years old. I want to look like her when I'm not 47 years old as well. So like I love her. She's a queen. I love her so much, but just felt very random. Like we know that her and Lita are besties, but just I don't know. I didn't care about it so much. So she does help make sure that Lita and Becky win. So they are the tag team champions. And I wrote an article about this on pwmania.com, which it actually just came out like an hour ago. So I will be putting that on Twitter. But I feel like we deserved to get Bailey versus Becky at Mania. And so I'm a little bit disappointed with how this happened because now it's either going to be 3-on-3, Damage Control versus Becky, Lita, and Trish, or we're going to get Damage Control minus Bailey versus Becky and Lita for the tag team titles at Mania, and then Trish versus Bailey. I don't love any of the scenarios, any of these possibilities, because I also know if the tag titles are put up at Mania, Lita and Becky are losing. There's no way that Lita's not going to be signed on to be continuously active on the roster to be champion. So I feel like this kind of was just a dumb idea if that's what's going to end up happening. But at the same time, if it's 3-on-3, I also hate that scenario because we're almost a year removed from Naomi and Sasha walking out of Raw because of how they were booking the tag team champions, the women's tag team champions, them at the time. If then you leave them off of WrestleMania, like I don't know where we've progressed from a year ago. So it's like they weren't booking Damage Control well. They weren't
Yeah, they
having
were
them
doing
defend the
well with what
titles.
they were given. Yeah,
Yeah. And so, them taking the titles off of them, fine, whatever. Like I didn't love it, but it's like, okay, but yeah, I just don't know that I love any of the possible matchups but that they could have from this for Mania.
I I've just accepted. I have no real true opinion because I get it and understand what they're doing. Do I agree with it? Not really. I would like to see the women's tag titles defend at Mania, not by Becky and Lita, but I'm letting it play out.
Yeah.
Letting them.
I think that in a way it's being treated as like a secondary match because they already have the two women's matches announced for the titles. And so this would just be like a bonus women's match. But I feel like they could make two more matches for women out of this. You could have the tag titles up at Mania. You could have had Bailey and Becky versus each other at Mania, and that could have been great. And it would have been cool to see them have 4 legitimate women's matches on the card because it is 2 nights. So it would be cool to have 4 great women's matches on both, 2 and 2 or whatever on each night of
Yeah,
Mania. And it's like it's just kind of disappointing that it's like, okay, we got the 2 titles matches, so one for each night. And then yeah, I guess we'll have this fun match because like I said in my article, this feels very much like the forcing of having a legend involved in Mania, which they do every single year. So this is like, oh, how are we going to do this? Let's do it with the women this year. So let's have Lita in there and like let's throw Trish in there. And there we go. There's the legends that are part of Mania this year because last year it was Stone Cold and it's like
that's what
they
it is. It's
they couldn't
legends in
get
Hollywood. Yeah,
they couldn't get The Rock for this year. So it's like, okay, we're gonna use Lita and Trish, and it's like
you may be there.
he allegedly can't be there. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, I don't love this. I think it'll be fun. It'll be nostalgic. It's cool, especially Becky was a huge fan of Lita growing up. So that's another thing that's like really cool for her to then be like partners with her. But I just felt like there was definitely better situations that they could have done. Ron94 says, Lita is back. It's been a long time since I've seen her. Yes, she is now a tag team champion with Becky Lynch. And the Kingdom of Razor says, do you think Lita is wrestling the way she is because of her age? Other wrestlers are in their 40s that are still in great shape. What do you think? Part of it, you guys have to remember, she's 47. So she's closer to 50 than she is to 40. Also, I think part of that, yeah, but I think when you're out of the game for that long, it's difficult to get in ring shape. That's what people say a lot of the time when they get injured, that it's like you might be able to recover from your injury like quick, but then you have to get into ring shape again. It's a lot of cardio. Plus something that always stands out, and we kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning. The style that they wrestled like in the 90s, like early mid 2000s is so different than the style of wrestling now. And it worked then, but it doesn't work now. And I think that kind of what is something that made Lita stand out, other than, it was a little bit rough last night. But I think that's part of why it stood out too, was because it just didn't mesh well.
No, it's different style. And that's the thing, is that as you get older and, as she's pushing, or she is 47, you have to adapt. She flew off the top rope and any other object for an entire career. And, that high risk,
she broke her neck.
Exactly. You're going to have to change how you wrestle. Now it's all about, being more on the mat or on the ground, or doing more just moves and spots. That's where she's going. And also it's just, I mean, look at Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and then Becky Lynch in that. Those are three world-class wrestlers. Lita is a WWE Hall of Famer. Okay, Hall of Fame, and stuff like that. So if you realize it like that and just take it for what it is, then fine. And you need, I understand it's just setting up WrestleMania in Hollywood. You're just doing that to get the biggest stars, fine. But don't make Lita, like, if you're going to keep Lita around, at least keep her with Becky and Trish, and them do something along these lines. Like, something I thought of was, you have them defend the titles and all that, and then maybe at Backlash, Trish turns on Becky or something, takes the tag title and says, Lita and I are the tag, and we should be. Write Becky off of TV for like a month or two, and then come back and she's feuding with both of them. And then boom, now Becky Lynch is in another echelon of women's wrestlers because of that. God damn, I'm so good. I'm so good, Sarah. I'm so good at this shit.
So the last comment before we wrap it up, Darius says, I think it also gives the women's tag team title some credibility after taking a hit with the whole Sasha Naomi ordeal. I think they face Ronda and Shayna at WrestleMania. That would be interesting too. And of course, they originally were planning, allegedly, to have Damage Control versus Ronda and Shayna at Mania, which we always were trying to figure out how that was going to work.
I don't understand.
But it does make more sense, because if they're pushing them to be heels, who's a bigger babyface right now in the tag team division, I guess, than Lita and Becky? That gets Ronda on posters, which apparently they think sells. I don't know that people are really tuning in to watch Ronda wrestle, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah,
we shall see.
That was Raw.
That was Raw. We shall see. Thank you guys for tuning in to this Raw Rewind.
We had like record numbers tonight.
I know. We keep this going, guys. This was great. Thank you for tuning in. This was awesome. And to be notified and to know what's going on, you got to follow us on the socials. Twitter at Pat_Pitts and at SMarshXO on Instagram, because I post there as well. Starting to get into that game. Shoot me a follow at Pitsy35, and Sarah's at SMarsh_. And Sarah's YouTube channel, which, I mean, at this point, I feel like all our listeners are still, that's where we're going. And they gotta subscribe. You may have just tuned in
We're
on
almost
here.
at 400,
We're
guys.
almost at 400 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button and share it, like everything. If you want to see stuff and clips from the archives, we have clips of these shows. We clip them up and throw them up, so maybe you don't have an hour and 20 minutes to kill sitting with us in the yard of streams. You only have that 4, 5, maybe 8 minutes on the train ride. We have that clip for you on Sarah's YouTube channel, so go and click on it, check it out, and then let us know what you think in the comments. We got some videos to make, obviously, with I know one person said like an AEW thing. We have the podcast. This is all, it started as a podcast, still is a podcast, Pits and Sarah's Wrestling Show, which is on all podcast platforms, essentially Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. So go and subscribe, leave a comment, and 5 stars on that. We'll be recording on Thursday with a WrestleMania episode. And Sarah, as we end this, I'm on WrestleMania 14, Triple H versus Owen Hart.
Dang.
So we are coasting through this, want to get through before the grand day, the grand weekend, actually, that it's turned into. So be on the journey with me and go follow and subscribe to all those places. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Thursday.